Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We have no questions.
The gentlelady from Pennsylvania.
Thank you. I don't have any questions, but I would like to suggest that this amendment, which applies an automatic death sentence to anyone who imports any amount of fentanyl-type drugs, so long as it comes across the southern border, is not a serious or rational response to a very serious problem. I mean, we've had, at the port in Philadelphia a couple years ago, we had 110 pounds of fentanyl seized, and it came through the port of Philadelphia. So the fact that there would be this bizarre distinction between the southern border and the other ports where 90% of the fentanyl is coming in doesn't make any sense. On the off chance this is supposed to be a serious amendment and not just clickbait for social media or campaign donations, I would offer the following points for consideration.
Nothing is for clickbait or
my
campaign donation.
First of all, the amendment's unconstitutional. The Supreme Court has been clear that the death penalty is a violation of the Eighth Amendment in circumstances where death was not the immediate result of the violation in question. This law contains no such limitations as to seriousness, and what the court said there, and I think it's instructive, is that when the law punishes by death, it risks its own sudden descent into brutality, transgressing the constitutional commitment to decency and restraint. Second, it would have the absurd result that you've got a mandatory death penalty for someone who brings a pill with fentanyl across the southern border, but not for someone who imports hundreds of pounds of fentanyl anywhere else in the country. Third, it imposes a mandatory minimum sentence of death. We've had a lot of conversations, and granted, it was before you came to testify today. We've had a lot of conversations here today about the validity or the use of mandatory minimum sentences, but this would be the first and only mandatory minimum sentence in U.S. history. And none of the other offenses that you cited have a minimum sentence of death regardless of the circumstances. It's always a maximum. So I obviously can't support this amendment, and I yield back.
The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Would you like to respond to any of that?
Yes, absolutely, I would. First of all, this is not for campaign donations or clickbait like what you said would be for campaign donations and clickbait, and I find that offensive. Secondly, the amendment reads, any person who knowingly or intentionally imports fentanyl. And I would think that you would care about 300 Americans dying every single day, especially young people. But I do agree with you, it shouldn't be just across the southern border, it should be anywhere across our border, and it should be punishable, again, by death. And as far as the death penalty being constitutional, there's 41 capital offenses that are punishable by death, so clearly murder is punishable by death, and murdering 300 Americans every single day, knowingly and willfully, should be punished by death. Thank you.
I yield back.
The gentlelady from New Mexico is recognized.
Thank you very much, and I think that the key distinction, as pointed out in the Supreme Court opinions, was whether the importation is tied to the murder, and it's this time that is key, and I think that that's what you were pointing out. Do you want to add anything else to that?
No, just that is the point, is that there are no limitations on what's been proposed here, other than it has to be an importation across the southern border. No limitations as to harm caused, personal use, anything else. Obviously, none of us here want to encourage the importation of fentanyl, but also we don't want to encourage the descent of our laws into brutality and transgressing the constitutional commitment to decency and restraint.
Right, and as I point out, that none of those crimes that you listed have a mandatory minimum. And I really want to go back on the record and point out that under the Biden administration, we have been steadfast at attacking fentanyl. Nobody, no Democrat on this committee has said that we are in any way, supportive of any kind of fentanyl. We indeed are insistent that the problem with this bill is it doesn't go far enough. It doesn't go far enough. Our communities want us to do more with regards to enforcement. They want us to do more with regards to treatment. And that's what we need to do, is we need to do more. This bill doesn't do enough. So with that, I yield back. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Gentlelady from Minnesota is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And would you like to respond to the last comments?
Yes, thank you very much. I think if Democrats really cared about stopping fentanyl and cared at all about Americans being murdered, 300 every single day, due to Biden administration failed border policies and the national security crisis that the Biden administration has created, you all would have voted for H.R. 1, our very strong bill, and our border security package, increasing American energy, but also protecting America's border, helps America's national security. And our border security package brings back Trump's administration border policies. And Joe Biden, through executive orders, wrecked all of those. And that's why we have over 300 Americans dying every single day. You talk about what is humane and decent in treating people. That would be protecting our southern border and stopping people from knowingly and intentionally importing fentanyl that, again, is a poison that comes from China. If Joe Biden cared about saving American lives, he would be strict on China and the amount of fentanyl that they're bringing in and just handing over, selling to the Mexican cartels. If Joe Biden cared about saving American lives, 300 American lives every single day, every day, it's like a bomb going off and 300 Americans dying, then Joe Biden would do something about the Mexican cartels who are basically running 5 out of 9 border sectors across our southern border. If Joe Biden cared at all about these 300 Americans, who, by the way, most of them are under the age of 45, then Joe Biden would absolutely be working with our speaker in this debt ceiling negotiation and making our border security package part of that negotiation. But clearly Joe Biden doesn't care at all, and the Democrats don't care at all about border security or 300 people that die every single day. Thank you.
Thank you. And